Hey, in today's video, I'm going to show you how I automated the process of taking raw research data on various different dog breeds and produced a final draft document in the end, all in seconds. This process was automated using make.com, and I built an AI agent with ChatGPT to be able to do this for me because I needed this information to be produced in a very specific way. So if you're interested in learning how to build your own AI agent or in automations, then grab your coffee or your drink of choice and meet me at the computer. Okay, here we are at the computer, and I'm on my Podorable Finds dog blog, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what I'm talking about. So here I'm going to click into the dog breeds, and I'll show you an example of what one of these dog profiles would look like. So for this, let's pick on the Airedale Terrier today. Because he's just so adorable. Look at this handsome dog. So here's the write-up, a little bit of an overview, some information about famous Airedales. All of the dog breeds, regardless if it has a profile or not, has this handy-dandy infographic, just a quick snapshot that is downloadable, a bit about their history, their traits, as well, and then some information about their health. So this is fundamentally what I want it to look like in the end, right? This is pretty much it. Now, some of them, again, I've got the research done, but not the write-up. This does take me, at least for me, it takes hours. So here is the research that I have. You can see some dog breeds, right? On the bottom, this is just a big spreadsheet or Google sheet that has different tabs at the bottom. But you can see the overview, history, traits, health, all across there, just like we had for the Airedale. Now, in addition, I have this updated and linked to Word doc column. Okay, that's really important to keep in mind. So now we're going to go over to OpenAI, the platform.openai.com. This is the playground. So this is where you can play around with different prompts, etc. And I know you're thinking, well, why we're not doing prompt engineering per se? Not really. But if you could see over on the left-hand side, this is where you can create your own assistant. Now you can play around with the prompt in the chat, but here, I already have one. It's the LinkedIn post one. And so you just click the down arrow and add new. And I'm going to change the name because I don't want it to be W1LUNC, whatever. So we'll call this the dog profile assistant. How about that? Yeah. Dog profile assistant. Now, the system instructions I actually have in a Google Doc, which I'm going to link in the description below. So I've copied and pasted it here. This is another area I want you to remember really quickly. This top bit right here, we're going to use this later as well. So it's always a good idea just to have your backup in a Google Doc. As far as the model, you can choose different models that if you want. For this, I'm just going to stick with the GPT-4o. I think it's great. Now, file search, you can think of this as your knowledge base. I'm just going to take some files from it's on my other screen here. I'm going to drag and drop those here as like a template, as it were, right? Just as examples for the assistant to be able to refer to. It's not going to necessarily use this information in whatever it's writing, but I've got Airedale Terrier, Akita. I could put whatever I want, right? But it's just for the assistant to have something to refer to, and it's your knowledge base. Code interpreter, this is great if you really needed to bang out some code. It doesn't need to for this purpose. But again, in this file search, you can see here, it shows you right there that this is basically your knowledge base. So if you have certain brand standards that you need to adhere to or certain templates you want to adhere to, it's a great place for it. Your functions, if you have custom functions in your API, go ahead. A lot of times, like I've never used it. The response is in text, but you want to worry about your temperature and your top P. Your temperature is just the randomness, right? So how random it's going to come up with, just stick to the default. And the same with your top P, right? So that it's not going completely bananas, or it's not getting so narrow in its focus. You want it to have a little bit of creativity, but not too much is fundamentally it. So in here, I'm going to write a prompt to please generate a profile or a dog profile for the Afghan hound. And the Afghan hound, I know I grew up with Afghan hounds. We had 2 of them when I was growing up. They're very lovely at different times, not at the same time. And they are beautiful and they are funny and all of that kind of stuff. So let's see what it comes up. Yeah, they're elegant flowing coats. If you've ever seen an Afghan hound, you know what it is. It's basically the Barbie dog. So there we go. Although it wasn't in the Barbie movie, I don't think. And it is an ancient, elegant breed, but you can see it's kind of running through its own code. And here we go. This is what it's coming up with. And I didn't even give it any samples of the Afghan hound. It just happens to know this. This dog breed is well known. It is an ancient breed. So it's great. It's kind of sticking to, from what I'm reading here, there's nothing off. One thing I did notice as it was scrolling through is this infographic thing. This should be on its own line, right? So I'm not loving it being there. And there's a few things that may need tweaking, but this is what, if you've ever heard people talk about fine-tuning your agent, this is where you can fine-tune your agent. In the system instructions, I probably could make this a little bit bigger, but again, I'm using a Google Doc for my prompt, so I want to make sure that I'm keeping both updated. Any changes I make here, I want to make sure it's reflected in that. So I want to use the section title as header before each section. So that's one thing I wanted to add in. And then I want to deal with this whole infographic being on a new line. So let's scroll up. There's the infographic. So I want it to be on a new line. So include a note, no. So right before this phrase, I'm going to say on a note, new. On a new line, include a note for infographic placement. So this really, I want it to be a placeholder. So I just wasn't, it's not that the agent didn't do its job. I didn't do my job in being more clear with it. So now I'm going to try this again. I'm just going to put in the dog breed, Afghan hound. I'm not putting in anything else, no proper prompt. And I'm going to run it, see what it comes up with. As you can see, user, which is me, Afghan hound, boom. And you can see infographic placed here is on a new line. So this is the whole idea, is that it can be iterative. And as it's running through, you can see what it's coming up with. And if you want to tweak it more or less, there we go. So this is the actual monster prompt ChatGPT Assistant instructions. I am going to have this linked, like I said, in the description below, so you can have this if you want to use something similar. But remember this top bit. Now we go into make. This is where we're going to automate the whole thing. So create a new scenario. We're going to go into tools and the increment function. This way, because we're referring to a Google Sheet, we make sure that it iterates one at a time. So move that over, create a connection. So we're going to go into our Google Sheet itself. And we want to search for, and I can't find it myself, so I'm just going to search for the search. There we go. Search rows. Perfect. And you need to have this connected to your Google Drive. So select for my Drive as well. The spreadsheet ID, we've got dog breed details. There we go. The sheet name, because remember there were so many different tabs, make sure you're selecting the right one. It was in our dog breeds research tab. Okay, so the table contains headers, yes. The column range, A to Z, I'm just going to go A to Z. I'm Canadian, so Z it is. The filter, because remember we had the one column that had status or whatever, I can't remember what it was. Update, that's it. Down there we have each column, because we said it has headers. update. Remember that was like complete or in progress. So what we want to see is we only want to make sure that it has pending. So we are going to later change this once we've done the run. And you'll see that a little later on in the workflow. We want to sort the order by ascending, of course. Now you want to take a look at the advanced features. You can. It's not necessary, but I'm just showing it for you now. So it's the formatted as a string. It just means it's words. And then the limit, I'm just going to set this one to 1 because I only want to run it once for now. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a new module, and this one is going to be our assistant. So look for ChatGPT in here. There, it's right there. Perfect. So we'll click that. We're going to use message and assistant, but you can see all of the different ways that you can work with ChatGPT in make.com. So I'm going to message an assistant, right? So I've got my connection already made. So we're going to use the dog profile assistant. That's it. The role, we're going to be the user. And the message, remember that top bit I kept saying to remember? A top bit of the prompt is what we want to put in here. So we're asking it to act as the dog breed expert based on the following information. So here we go. We're going to map all of this to what's in the Google Sheet. You can see each of these columns are already here. So breed overview, come from the overview section. It doesn't matter if there's nothing in it. It can figure it out. History, traits, and health. So that's the message, right? That's the prompt that we're giving it. Now we could simply just put in the breed name, but I want to make sure that this is very, very clear. So we're going to click OK. Now we're going to add another module. So this is going to create the Google Doc for us, right? Because we want the output somewhere. And I want to be able to, this is the human in a loop. I want to be able to review it. So we're going to go into Google Docs, create a document from this, because again, I want to be able to view this. The name is going to come from the Google Sheet. Now, as I hover over this, where we have the dog breed, Google Sheets is kind of flashing. It's just tells us which module we're referring to. I'm going to use the result as the content, so the result from our ChatGPT. And then the new document location is going to be just in my drive, and I'll put it into the dog breeds folder. There we go. I'm going to click OK. Eventually. There we go. So now we went from our Google Sheet into ChatGPT to create the doc, and now we want to update the sheet. Remember, we had that column to update if it's pending or not. So we want to update a row in our Google Sheet. And of course, we're going to have to go through and select this sheet again. So it's in our dog breeds folder. And we're going to select the dog breed details. And of course, the sheet name, the tab, right? It is the research. Boom. And table contains headers. Yes. So then the values below this are going to be all of the columns. But our row number, we definitely want to go back to the Google Sheets from beginning, right there, and put in the row number, which is right there. So we definitely want to put in the row number. Of course, it contains headers. So now you see the values below is all of the headers from A to Z, right? Because that was the range we gave it. So what we want to update is the updated there. And we wanted that to go from pending to, let's just say, complete. And then the link to the Word document, that next column, we actually want to link should be the docs, Google Docs, but that's okay. And we're going to use web view link because this is the link that we can then view the file if we want to. It's just good to have that handy dandy. And then those are just the rest of the columns in the range. Click OK. And now we definitely want to go and save this. I didn't even run it. It's not a very big workflow. So anyway, let's kind of scroll out so you can see it's really only these different modules. Now we're going to rename this to make it easier to find, of course. So we're going to say dog breed research to article. That I know what it is. We're going to click a save again. And what do you say? Let's run it once. Let's see what happens. So click run once. Okay. Oh, the Google Sheet was really fast. How fast is it? And my mic dropped. So I'm going to do a voiceover here, but basically we're just kind of looking through how quickly this scenario is running through. Google Docs was really quick. Google Sheets was instant, which I'm kind of laughing at. And we can see all of the different modules that this had to run through, and it just took seconds. So now back over to the Google Sheets in the right sheet, we can look right over at our columns. Remember, we now have the link to the document. We can click on this link here, but I think what I'm going to do here is just go into my Google Drive so that we can see it. Now, it's not there. The article's not there, but we're going to click a refresh on this, and there it is. So if you click on this and open it, we can see what it produced. And there it is. Now, I was really quite happy with this. It's fine. You can run this actually through like a plagiarism detector or an AI detector if you really want to as well. But I was quite happy with how this one turned out. There are so many different use cases for this type of an automation and for the AI agent. You can use this in your work, for school, or even your side hustle. If you're not working, you could even build one that could take a job description and your resume and tailor it for the application. If you're interested in any of those types of automations, leave a comment below and I'm happy to do a walkthrough of that as well. Keep in mind, you will need to have ChatGPT. You're going to need to have your API key, rather, in OpenAI. To be able to use the API key, you'll have to put a few dollars on there. I put $10 on about a month and a half or 2 months ago. I still have over $5 in a balance, and I use this every single day with my various different scenarios. So it does only cost pennies, but just wanted to throw that out there. If you're interested in learning how to make some of those connections as well and go through that in a little bit more detail, do leave a comment. And as always, it really does help my channel if you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so that you don't miss another video. If you do find this information valuable, it would help me out a lot if you did that. And of course, until next time, happy prompting.